Okay, so this is part two, just a short audio, uh, informal. I wouldn't call it a statement. It's the parents of the children from the Hampstead alleged Satanic ritual abuse case, which went viral on the internet, and is due to have a judgment handed down on tomorrow in the Royal Courts of Justice under Judge Poffley. Just a couple of things before there was interference. I didn't mean to cut this into two videos, but I just thought I'd upload as soon as I can. The first question they addressed was that they couldn't sign the two main petitions. I think one was heading up to 15,000 signatures, and the other one, very common sense petitions. One was to, you know, Ella, a Russian mother of an 8 and 9-year-old, as well as an older child, and her partner Abe discovered serious abuse allegations, and could have just removed their children from danger, but the children talked about another 20 children in their school also suffering. And Ella, very soft-spoken but very lovely, intelligent, educated Russian girl, said, I can't just hide my children and leave this unexposed. So Ella and Abraham came back to England and did everything correctly. They made absolutely impeccable notes. They interviewed the children, not professionally, but in a way that any parent would do. And I've followed this very closely. I'm a journalist and I'm also a survivor, and I've worked in foster care, and I have a lot of experience in this field. And of course you can say, oh, you know, this was wrong and that was wrong. They weren't purporting to be professionals, and I realised that we are so, as a society, trained that children are not protected, that it's shocking to our sensibilities when somebody like Abe just does his best to protect these children who have been allegedly horrendously traumatized, tortured, abused. And I think it's an absolute credit to Ella that the children are as lucid and sane as they were in the original disclosures. What a foundation of love her parents, the children's grandparents, and Ella have given these children, that they were able to verbalise such horror that we can hardly listen to. And the second point, so just to clarify, Ella and Abe were talking about that the petitions seem to have been manipulated, slowed down artificially. You know, and one has to ask why Jeremy Clarkson gets 1 million signatures to be reinstated after multiple gaffes, more than gaffes, and then punching out a producer because there was no dinner. And yet these petitions were absolutely, you know, we've looked at the statistics. The petitions were getting signatures worldwide, and coverage worldwide, and attention from the Russian embassy in London. And then all of a sudden they seem to get buried and slowed down to, you know, ridiculous. So anyway, the petitions have been taken down. They've been removed. On who say so? I don't know. On a technicality of including links, that's the reason given. And I want to make a point here, because I could play the game of the law works, which it clearly doesn't. I could play the game of, oh my goodness, let's not say names, and let's not risk the case, and let's not jeopardise ABC. I think what people need to realise, the law is not working in the area of child protection. And with regard to anonymity, it would not be offensive in any way for somebody to share a picture or a video of their 8 and 9-year-old doing a dance recital, or opening their Christmas presents, or whatever. It's not offensive to show children's faces and identity on the internet. So why do people get so uptight about these children's faces being shown as they told the truth? As they bravely and heart-wrenchingly told the truth. If you look at the term cover-up, why should those children's faces and identity be covered up? They didn't do anything wrong. It's not their shame. Even if they Google in 20 years' time, they have no reason to be embarrassed. And if they continue to be raised as well, as they clearly have been by their mother against the odds, they will not be embarrassed. They'll be proud. Because this could potentially be a watershed in resolving child sexual abuse. It's time to keep the main thing the main thing. Ella came with Abe, with evidence, very substantial, to say the children are telling us this has happened, and we've gone into it very deeply, and we absolutely believe them. Would you please investigate? And then why do we go off on tangents about, oh my goodness, we're going to prosecute you, you know, maybe if you leaked them onto the internet, and then we'll prosecute your legal lay litigant if she leaked them, and then we'll make a big hullabaloo about that, and then we'll prosecute your partner because he was physically, you know, he smacked the children, which he admits, and you know, I'm not making any excuses. I just know as a parent, when I was in the same unfortunate situation, my daughter was abused as a child by her father. He made a very clever kind of insurance policy case. My daughter was playing in the garden, I was gardening, my little sons were there, she was being very naughty, and I just told her several times to stop whatever it was she was doing. And then, just in sheer frustration, I chased her around the garden with the rake. I didn't use it, you know, but I got frustrated. And her father said, "Did Mummy ever hit you?" Yeah. What does she use? Oh, she chased me with a rake. Oh dear, has it got a metal reinforced? Oh dear. So he made a whole case, just in case I found out that he'd molested her on that visit. And he had a case in his back pocket that I was violent. It's just ridiculous. It's a side issue. Abe is a gentleman. He's willing to say, the children were acting out outrageously. They were gone in terms of, this was before they disclosed. They were threatened with being killed if they disclosed. So they would, I would even venture to say, you know, demonically oppressed, like they were, you know, demonically, like just out of control, acting out in ways that, you know, were not just hurting each other and hurting Abe and Ella, but actually hurting other children, where Abe and Ella and the children were on holiday. And Abe lost it. He lost it. He lost it. That's not the issue. Abe's perfectly willing to step up and say, yes, I'm sorry, I lost my temper. I wasn't professional in every step of doing this. It was a nightmare. Medical evidence has proven that the children have been severely abused, and so long-term that there's scar tissue, and there's just horrendous. Abraham's only known Ella and the children before this happened a few months, so clearly, you know, if you must make a hullabaloo, do that later. Deal with the main thing. And instead what happened was the children were, it's so happening so often, the children were taken. Within a week they supposedly retracted their statements, but too late. The police, the original police, I think it was Barnet, had investigated, had medical exams which confirmed, but then the case was taken off them, I think, by the Metropolitan Police. And then all of a sudden, bing bang bong, insufficient evidence, children have retracted, case closed. By the way, we're just going to take the children off you. And by the way, the father that the children allege so severely abused them with multiple other people, including teachers and social services people and so on, the father's going to be able to see them not just once every 2 weeks. I think we'll let him see them once a week, and we'll let him give them a laptop to Skype them. And you, mother, no, the one that reported this, the one that came back to the country for the sake of the other 20 children or the other 19 children. No, we think we'll keep you at twice, you know, every fortnight you can see them. We've just increased the father's access, and we'd like you to have a psychiatric assessment, and we're going, you know, we're looking into Abraham hitting them with a spoon. That's unacceptable. This is common sense, please, please. The law's not working. The children have no reason to hide their face, to cover up anything. Anonymity is not to protect the victims, and it's not to protect children that will be embarrassed in 20 years, no, or children that might be a target for paedophiles in the future. Are you kidding me? These children have been absolute champions. So, no, anonymity is to protect abusers, and we're not interacting with that anymore. And if you want to say, you've broken this law, this law, this law, I can assure you, by police evidence, by European legal evidence, laws are being broken left, right and centre in everything that's been done thus far by Judge Poffley, by the social services, by Steve, the policeman whose interview for retraction was just brutal. Steve, how do you sleep? I know you ran out of the room traumatised because at one point you'd got a conscience. But that's enough of that. I'm going to let Abe and Ella just finish their few words, and I just ask everybody, I ask the judiciary, it's not an issue for me whether who's Israeli or not, or good is good and evil's evil. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And that's what the law is supposed to do. And David Cameron similarly, on the one hand saying no stone will be left unturned, you know, for the child abuse inquiry, but I'm not releasing the 4 files that have been found, one of which was about to be destroyed. That's not okay. It's not going to fly. And similarly, Abe and Ella both mentioned Ben Fellows, who was arrested and kept in prison with a charge that wasn't even named until a couple of months later, but attempting to pervert the course of justice. So many special services, Secret Service guys, police, are wanting to come forward with evidence, both of historical and, like the Hampstead case, current abuse and cover-up. But they stand, like Ben Fellows, to be prosecuted under the law that, you know, they signed the Official Secrets Act. They're not allowed to say that Cyril Smith was abusing children and there was absolute evidence of it, that sufficient evidence was there to make a very good case that Leon Britton was doing the same, and so on and so forth. It's not good enough, David Cameron, any politicians, it's not good enough in a year or 5 years or 10 years to say, you know, we didn't understand and we've learned our lessons and, you know, we've put structures in place so it won't ever happen again. Stop it happening again tomorrow, please. So now I'll just play the balance of what Abraham and Ella, and I just say to the armchair analysts, you could include me, although, like I said, I do have some experience, but I do say, keep the main thing the main thing. You know, stop assessing all the side issues. These children have been through horrendous, allegedly, abuse, and the other children are still at risk. And we're not, no abuse is okay, but we're talking primary school children, in more than one school in London, and it's got to be dealt with. It really has. The staff there's been multiple changes in staff since this went online. There's been refurbishments of areas that the children described in great detail. You know, several buildings that the children described being abused in. Oh, all of a sudden, £180,000 refurbishment done, you know, builders in, the whole lot. I actually suspect, I don't know who released the police videos, there's a theory, a sympathetic insider, or perhaps a policeman from the original investigation which got hijacked by the Met, but there's also a possibility that the police videos were released deliberately with the children giving all detailed disclosures, exactly to tip off the alleged abusers to clean up, so that there'd be no evidence. It's just scandalous. All those areas described should have been sealed off for forensic examination, and instead the case is closed. the children retract in an excruciatingly manipulated, orchestrated and outrageously illegal way, and oops, all the crime scenes were cleaned up and knocked down and refurbished, and so there's vast amounts of evidence. But I'm not playing this game of we can't say the children's names, we can't say this, we can't say that. Change the law, make the law serve justice, and if justice is not black and white, the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as gentle rain from heaven. Use mercy, but please release those children tomorrow, and don't even think about projecting all of this onto Abe. He's done nothing except for be a man. He's been a little clumsy, he's got some things, in the past that he's not perfect, and maybe, made some mistakes, but this guy stood up and did what it took to get these children to cross that fear of being killed if they disclosed, and then to do everything that he could to protect both Ella and the children. And for that, he's being scapegoated. And, rather than scapegoat somebody, why don't you try and be a little bit like as brave? Seriously. So I'll just let Abe and Ella finish this, and I ask everybody, please, either go to the Royal Courts of Justice tomorrow from about 10 AM. Mainstream media, please remember your vocation. Please, at least, just please don't follow the party line. Please remember why you were a journalist, and pray. And I just appeal to George Poffley and the establishment. Let this be the watershed where common sense prevails and children are protected, not stupid laws used to perpetuate cover-up. In Jesus' name. I'll put this back on now.
And for speaking the truth in, what did they say?
Dangerous to speak the truth in an age of deceit.
In an age of deceit, it becomes a crime.
And I was going to mention that those precedent cases, like this Musa cases, I think 8 children have been taken from the family, and they've been put in jail for I think a year or so, and then deported, as well as with this American woman, I think Laird, Melissa Laird. The boy was taken, and she was, I think she's trying to run away to Spain.
And who sat in judgment on this case? Was it
Maya was in the Laird case, and what happened? She sent her to jail, the woman, for abduction of her own child, and then after that, after I think also she's been there for quite a while in jail, and then they deported her and dumped her in Dallas airport without money, without passport, without anything,
This is why
without the right to return.
This is why Sabine has so much clout as far as I'm concerned, because she signed a line on the child snatching, the institutionalized child snatching.
That's right.
Because they need children. They need children to maintain to continue to perpetuate their cult. Children to abuse.
And to what? To turn them into satanic soldiers.
Absolutely.
Devil
To turn them into
servers.
satanic soldiers, satanic killers. That's right. Tricky demon.
That's it. It was an 8-month. I admire them for releasing that the night before. The children have been effectively kidnapped from the mother and the stepfather that tries so hard to protect them and protect all the children by reporting. So the children have been in care for 6 months. They've been in 2 foster homes. They're reported to be desperately missing the mother, and the grandparents desperately tied up in knots. You're not allowed to say I love you. You can't say this to your grandparents. You can't say that. You can't say this to your mother. You can't. You just can't do that. Please, you just can't do that. So really, what we're asking you, Judge Poffley, the Royal Courts of Justice, scrap this secret family courts system with immediate effect. Scrap this, do as the special branch and are asking, make an amnesty for policemen to come forward and tell their story without fear of being imprisoned as bedfellows or, you know, for attempting to pervert the course of justice or breaking the Official Secrets Act. Let's get sensible. Let's just start fresh and get sensible and just get brave, because it's a horrible indictment on a society that children, the most vulnerable, you know, are treated in such a diabolical. We failed them. So I can't even listen about elections and budgets and so on if the children aren't safe, and if the law is just traumatizing, arresting, you know, trying to pin mental health issues on the mother, scapegoat whoever else is around, reunite the children with the alleged paedophile parent, you know, and then prosecute everybody for talking about it. No, let's go back to zero and start sensibly. Please make this day one tomorrow. David Cameron, you know, to me it's not about what race you are, what creed you are. As humanity, please go back to reset, start fresh tomorrow, and let's see these children reunited with their mother and their stepfather, who risked everything for children he'd only known a few months. Could not possibly have been, you know, the medical evidence doesn't add up. He has never sexually abused these children. He's lost his temper with them, dealing with a nightmare that most of us would not have a clue how to deal with. So common sense, restore the children. I'm glad the Russian grandparents are willing to have them in Russia, but don't you dare order these children separated from their mother and her partner. If they all choose to cohabit in Russia, that's their choice. But if those children, they've suffered such horrendous betrayal and torture, allegedly at the hand of their father, don't you dare put their mother in a position that she's lost them anyway. After she came back, for the sake of all the other children, please shut those schools down, rescue this case, and don't be disgraced in Europe, don't be disgraced globally. Be Great Britain and do the right thing starting from tomorrow, please. And thanks, Abraham and Ella, for an audio from exile. They didn't ask for their lives to be uprooted and to find themselves running from the people that were supposed to help protect the children.